What's going on, everyone? Happy Friday to everyone. Hopefully, everyone is doing well, staying safe, healthy. If you had to take a COVID test, hopefully you have tested negative. If you did test positive, I hope you have a full and speedy recovery with no long COVID issues. It's time now for the Friday edition of the Pandemic Update for Friday, September 29th, 2023. It is the final Friday of September. And we start off today with this. Another politician has tested positive. U.S. Senator Debbie Stabenow, who is a Democrat out of Michigan, tested positive for COVID yesterday, September 28th. She is currently 73 years old, and I am not seeing a previous case for her, so I can assume this is her first case of COVID. So once again, U.S. Senator Debbie Stabenow has tested positive for COVID. Now moving on to this. This is something that I did last night. This is a poll I started at 10:12 p.m. There's still 8 hours left and already 1,097 votes. So wow, we got a lot of votes here considering that Twitter is slowly dwindling down. That's quite a few votes. And I put, do you plan on getting the updated COVID booster? Or have you gotten it yet? 87.5% up to this point have said yes, and 12.5% said no, and a large majority of people said they are waiting for the Novavax. And honestly, that's a good thing. If you're waiting for Novavax, fine. When is it going to be approved? This is a question I get a lot. Honestly, I don't know when it's going to be approved. We can hope sometime soon. But it's looking like the FDA is just stalling and taking their good old time. I don't understand what the deal is, why they can't just approve it. Is it because they got their hands tied with Moderna and Pfizer? I honestly don't know, but I can hope that they do it very soon. I mean, you can see here, Novavax, waiting for Novavax, waiting on Novavax, waiting on Novavax, only if I can get Novavax. I mean, on and on it goes. There's a lot of people here that said they're waiting on Novavax, so clearly, if there's that many people that want it, they ought to just approve it because we know it's safe and effective. Let's take a look at air quality values for today, and we see that air quality values across the country, not too bad. We do have some concerning levels in California. I'm seeing one station here that's saying 660. Wow, yeah, 660. That's really high. That's ridiculous. Washington, a little bit more yellow today. Some green in the Rocky Mountains. But then you come to the east, and we do see a lot of yellow and orange. And then we come up here to New York. Look at this, New York, Vermont, New Hampshire. I'm starting to see a few 100s here. Again, remember, we have this onshore flow, which is coming on there. And that's just creating generally poor air qualities. But you come down the New Jersey Turnpike to New Jersey, Pennsylvania, not terrible. And speaking of health and climate, I do want to tell you, if you're in the New York City metro area, turn around, don't drown. There's some severe flooding there today, and there's some really dangerous water. Within that, it's brown, there's trash, there's who knows what is in that sewer water that is, has nowhere to go because they saw so much rain in such a short time. Try not to walk through that. It's unhealthy. There could be bacteria. It's just not safe. So again, New York City, if you're in that area, just stay home today. Do not attempt to go out in that flooding unless you really have to. And I get it. There's some cases they're saying, hey, you got to come into work today or you're fired. In that case, by all means, please stay safe. Heat-related illnesses, we may see this increase again east of the Mississippi because there's going to be above average temperatures within the next week. All right, taking a look at Walgreens. Walgreens this week is 27.7% positivity. That's down from the prior week. Testing is up, so it's good to see testing up. And now let's take a look at BioBot, which updates on Mondays. All regions on BioBot are dropping at this time. Taking a look here at, let's refresh this because this should have updated. I've been waiting for it to update, and it should be updated by now. And you can see here, I'm going to move myself to the left because we are going to do a little bit of a wastewater update here. New sites, 72. 0 to 19% COVID detected, 56 sites. 20% to 39% COVID detected is at 248 sites. 40 to 59% COVID detected is at 459 sites. Orange, 60 to 79% is at 400 sites. 80 to 100% is at 141 sites. Now let's go to wastewater scan. We're going to do a few of these sites that not only show COVID, but also show other things. We have not taken a look at Akron, Ohio in a while, so let's see what's going on there today. And looks like I have to move myself back to the right. They changed this website around. COVID, it's still high at this time. The overall trajectory has been up. The most recent update is down a little bit. Influenza is low. RSV is low. There was a little bit of an issue with RSV. That since has dropped. HMPV is low. Mpox is low. And norovirus is low. But if you take a look here, it is starting to rise at this time for norovirus. Now let's go to another site. Let's go closer to the Chicago area. We'll take a look at Glen Elwyn, I think that's how you say this, and COVID at this time is medium. It has been dropping a little bit, and on the most recent update it rose a little bit. Influenza is low. RSV is low, but it is starting to rise, so that's something we'll have to watch. HMPV low, Mpox non-detected, and norovirus is low at this time with flattening levels. It's not really rising at this point. Now let's go down to the south, then we'll go out to the west, and we can see that, hang on here, the website froze up on us. In the south, we are looking to see if flu levels are starting to rise. And what do you say we go close to, we did Atlanta the other day. What do you say we come down here to this Greenville, South Carolina area? And let's see what's going on there today. Well, it's coming up medium for COVID. And you can see COVID overall, the trajectory now is starting to drop. Influenza non-detected. RSV is starting to rise. It's still low, but it's starting to rise. Remember, it's got to start from somewhere. HMPV, low. No Mpox detected. And norovirus in this area has flattened out at this time. Now let's go out to the west coast, shall we? Let's see what's going on today. How about we go to Las Vegas? We haven't looked at Las Vegas in a few weeks. Let's see what's going on there. And Las Vegas at this time, I'm seeing some mediums pop up. COVID is medium, but it is dropping ever so slightly. Influenza is low. RSV, it's starting to rise, still low, but it's starting to rise. HMPV is low. Mpox, non-detected at this time. And norovirus, it had risen a little bit, and now it's flattened out, but it is medium at this time, which is not good to see. And we're going to do one more site. Then we have to take a look at the all-important variant update. Let's come up here to near San Francisco, shall we? How about let's just randomly click on one. Here we go, Oceanside. And COVID is coming up at this time high, though you do see it dropping. Most recent update risen a little bit. Influenza, it's been rising and it's continuing to rise. It's still in the low, but that may not last for much longer. RSV is dropping at this time. HMPV, no issue. No Mpox detected at this time. And look at this. Norovirus is starting to rapidly go up all of a sudden. That is not good to see. Alrighty, drum roll please. First off, here is the new update for the latest variants, but I do want to give a disclaimer here real quickly. And it says here, I know it's here somewhere. Anywho, the CDC is going to be changing all their maps and data, or I believe are going to be updating on Fridays now. So some update on Mondays, then you had Thursdays, whatever the case may have been. It looks like their data is going to update on Fridays now, much like they do with other viruses. Alrighty. There are a ton of different variants across the country, and also we used to do the variant update video. We can't anymore. Not all of the regions update now because sequencing data is just so poor. But what we can show you is EG.5 is now at 29.4%. FL151 is at 13.7%. This is nationally. HV.1 is now up to 12.9%. Then you have XBB 116.6 at 10.1%. Then you have a slew of other variants. I haven't counted how many there are, but it's got to be well over 20. And there's a couple here that are new that are popping up. GK.2, that's one I've never seen before. Then you have an HF.1 at 1.8%, also something I've never seen before. So there are some new, smaller variants popping up. We'll have to watch what happens. Remember when HV.1 just randomly entered the picture? I think it started out at 5%, Now it's up to 12.9%, and there's possibility it could become a dominating variant at some point in time. The one thing you do not see on here is BA 2.86. There's not enough of that out there yet for it to actually make the CDC list. So that is kind of a good thing. Let's refresh this. There may have been an update to hospitalizations. I don't know. 19,079 people in the hospital. And taking a look at the map here, you can see a lot of yellow, which is stabilizing for emergency department visits. Green and darker green, that is dropping at this time. Taking a look at New Jersey for today. Some slight improvement. 586 people in the hospital. That's down from yesterday's number that was around 600. 62 people in the ICU. And we want to take a look at how many people are on a ventilator in New Jersey. And at this time, that is 23 people. Discharges. There's been 97 discharges in the last 24 hours. Taking a look at Philadelphia today. Going across the Delaware River. 759 EMS incidents. So again, not 800, but a little bit higher, I think, than what we've been seeing earlier in the week. Taking a live look in at Montgomery County, Pennsylvania. Wow, busy there right now. I'm seeing a lot of calls. 17 active calls right now. And Chester County, not terribly busy, but let's refresh this just to make sure. Seeing respiratory difficulty a couple times, stroke, and sick person. So, yep, there are some calls there. New York State. As of the time of this recording, and we're refreshing here. Okay, I was about to tell you New York State for some reason did not update, but finally it looks like we have an update out of New York State, so I can report on New York State's numbers today. Again, high cases, 3,726 cases. Let's see, did the hospitalizations update? Because we've been waiting on this for quite some time now. Let's see. Did we get an update out of New York State hospitalizations? Yes, we did. And it looks to me like they dropped ever so slightly from yesterday. 1,625 people in hospital, 164 people in the ICU. So always good to see an update out of New York State. I thought maybe with the flooding in New York City, maybe that's going to prevent them from getting all the data in, but it didn't. The one thing that is a concerning trend, the overall hospital admissions, look at this, starting to rise, and not only rise, almost starting to rise faster than the previous rise. So I suspect they're going to start the week next week in New York State with another increase in hospitalizations that are going to be relatively significant. All right, let's take a look now at California. California's positivity rate this week is 9.4%. Their average daily deaths are at 16. And new hospital admissions, the average daily, is at 343. And it doesn't look like these numbers are terribly up to date, but I refreshed it earlier and this 9.4 popped up, which was different than, I believe it was 11% before. So it did update somewhat. Now let's take a look at the latest flu numbers, which should be updating today. And yikes, looks like New York City is now at high flu levels. And we're seeing red in D.C., Washington, D.C., District of Columbia. That's rising. And looks like we're at low levels in Georgia, almost moderate. And we're at almost moderate levels now in the state of New Mexico. Puerto Rico has risen a little bit. So you're starting to see less areas now with the minimal shade. And you're starting to see more areas pop up now with this low color. And up in the far northern states, you can see it is still just minimal. But in the south, that's not the case anymore. And as we know, it starts in the south and works its way northward. All right, let's just do a brief international update here. Taking a look at some international numbers. Going to move myself back to the right. And we can see here, Romania, cases are now up 32%. Deaths are up 50%, 27 versus 18. Singapore, what is going on with you? 132% increase in cases, and deaths are 10 versus nothing, so that's a big increase. Russia, cases up 25%, deaths up 71%, 24 versus 14. Brazil, they corrected this now. It's an 897% increase. Deaths are down 27%. That's good. And then we come down here to New Zealand. Cases are down 44%. Deaths are down 48%, 14 versus 27. Bulgaria, cases are up 53%. Deaths, 6 versus 2. Poland, cases are up 17%. And deaths, 6 versus 1. And then you come down here to Chile, which now has a 24% increase in cases. No deaths reported. Switzerland cases down 57%. No deaths reported. Mako cases are up 29%. No deaths reported. Alrighty, folks, that does it for today's pandemic update. However, I do want to give one final message. We're going into a weekend. More risky behavior happens in a weekend. While a vast majority of the country is dropping, there are still states out there that are rising. New Jersey, New York State. And within some states, it can get down to a microscopic area, like a little town or city, which could be rising. Pennsylvania, for example. State College, Pennsylvania, likely rising again because they've been seeing football. And the same can be said in all the college towns across the country, like on the West Coast or in the Pacific Northwest. If you're in an area that just had a college football game, chances are your cases are rising because these towns grow in size on college football weekends, especially at the bigger universities. Also, in the South, there's always this question, do I have flu? Do I have COVID? Well, if you test negative for COVID, by all means, go out and get a flu test as well because, flu is starting to rise in the South. So it's good to go out and get tested for the different various types of flu. Alrighty, that does it for today's pandemic update. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more content like this, subscribe to my channel down below. And if you know anyone that needs to see this content, by all means, share this with them. We'll have another update in the near future. I think we'll at least do something maybe over the weekend. I don't know. But if we do, I'll let you know about it on Twitter. I will see you all again next time. Until I see you again next time, stay safe, everyone, and thanks for watching.